Oh my god. Now, I wonder what I should title this one. I'm kind of thinking online dating is, well, I mean, hell, I already did the whole POF bullshit. And that could apply for OkCupid or whatever else, but I mean, that was for POF. But then there's this one, Ashley Madison, and I wanted to ignore this one, but I came across this on the feeds at my job at the feeds, and I mean, I didn't read it yet. I'm going to read it both of them to you. One is shorter, one is a hell of a lot longer, but I'm going to read them both to you. But I skimmed through it, and I mean, just the title alone should tell you what's up. So, for all you people that think that paid sites are somehow better because they filter out the bullshit, there's a law, well, not even a law, but a rule that I'm going to tell you after I'm done reading all this. So, don't be a bitch and skip to the end. Anyway, the first one, the shorter one, the lesser article, and I'll have links to both of these. Titled, and this is from, well, I guess it's just MSN News. No, Tech Insider, sorry. From Matt Rosoff, and this was 3 hours ago, but this is actually like a longer because this was like several hours ago I found this. Anyway, title is Ashley Madison was a bunch of dudes talking to each other, data analyst suggests. Excuse me. The Ashley Madison hack has revealed a lot of interesting things about men who used the extramarital affair finding site, like which cities, states, and universities they're from. But what about women? Turns out, turns out, there may not have been very many women, as in almost none. Gizmodo writer Annalie Newlitz analyzed the data, and there's a link to that, from these, well, that's in hyperlinked, from the site's user database and found a lot of suspicious stuff that suggests nearly all of the female accounts were fake, maintained by the company's employees. Oh! 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 Moving on. First, the official numbers. The info that the hackers published contained about 31 million accounts apparently belonging to men, and about 5 million apparently belonging to women. I got the biggest fucking grin on my face. Fucking Alice in Wonderland, straight Cheshire cat. My god. Oh my god. Oh, alright. But when Newlitz dug deeper, she found a bunch of test accounts that ended with AshleyMadison.com. A bunch of test accounts that ended with AshleyMadison.com, suggesting that they were created intentionally. In parentheses, 9% of them were for women. Created intentionally. In parentheses, 90% of them were for women, and 350 female accounts for people with the same and very unusual last name. And 350 female accounts for people with names. Then she found 3 really damning pieces of data. Only 1,492 of the women in the database had ever checked their messages on the site. That's compared to more than 20 million men. Only 2,409 of the women had ever used the site's chat function versus more than 11 million men. Oh god, oh, this is delicious. Only 9,700. I'm sorry, hold on. Oh god. Okay, alright. Get it together, McFly. Let's do this. Only 9,700 women had ever responded to a message from another person on the site versus almost 6 million men. It's possible that most of the women signed up but never did anything. Either way, Newlitz writes, quote, Ashley Madison is a site where tens of millions of men write, mail, chat, and spend money for women who aren't there. The site's parent company, Avid Life Media, did not immediately return a request for comment. And this is the shorter one. Okay, you know what? Let me just go ahead and give you the law or a rule right now. For all you people that thought that you're going to find quality on paid sites, nope. Sorry. You couldn't, which is why you wouldn't catch me paying for shit like eHarmony and all that stuff. I mean, I'm sorry. The moment you start telling me that I need to pay to get fucking rejected by bitches, it'd be like, yo. Alright? Let me go ahead and just, like, I don't know, do some shit that's... Let me go and do some shit that I actually have a chance of walking away from. Like, I don't know, swinging at some cops. Dodging lightning. Dodging a bullet, dodging the speed of light, you know, a laser beam or some shit. I have a chance of surviving that, okay? There is no chance in hell you're going to get me to pay to get fucking rejected by millions of bitches who ain't even right there. Oh my god. So, all this shit is fake. And these people couldn't even placate the fake. Well, no, not even placate, but they couldn't even keep up the fakeness. They couldn't, like, fake lead these guys on. They just didn't even give a fuck. They didn't even try. It's not like they were talking to a fake woman the whole time. They just weren't talking to anybody. It's just a bunch of fucking dudes. Love it. So, yeah, women do not need Ashley Madison. I mean, I guess Ashley Madison in and of itself was a good idea. At least, no, in theory was a good idea. But women are not, at least in the Western world, women are not paying for sex, and they're not paying to sneak around. Trust me, all women need to do is tell the dude that they're cheating on their husband with to shut the fuck up. Look, you want this pussy on a regular basis? Shut the fuck up. Simple as done. And he will shut the fuck up. Okay? Let a guy tell a girl, look, bitch, shut the fuck up if you want to get dick the fuck down. She might regret it for a little bit, but man, she's gonna fucking run her. Man, you like, man, fuck this. I'll find some other dick. I will search each and every fucking dude, and I'll tell each and every dude to drop their pants and let me see what they're working with, and they'll do it so I can see which dick is the big dick and replace your ass. So it doesn't work. Women, just tell the men shut the fuck up, and they will shut the fuck up, and they will be dead silent. Your husband will never know. You say that, men, you say that to a woman, bitch, shut the fuck up. If you want this dick, she'd be like, look at my cell phone, motherfucker. You see this group, much like how I have my X list of girls that I've fucked before, right? You see this, what's the word? This group, group of like 400 dudes. These are all dudes with 12-inch dicks that are like fucking 2-liter bottle size diameter, and they're all on fucking call. Okay, so fuck you. So that's the rule, guys. Women don't need to do shit. They don't need to go on dating sites. At least most of them. And the ones that do need to go on dating sites, you probably don't want. But, you know, you'll just take it because it's like, it's better than nothing. Want to bust this nut and don't feel like jacking off to do it. Anyway, so there's the rule. You didn't even have to wait to the end of the video. There it is. Now then, let's go straight to Gizmodo. And you gotta go to Gizmodo. You can hear me read this off, but then you gotta go to Gizmodo because they had, I mean, just the pictures. Just the pictures alone. My God, just the pictures alone is of the graphs. Number of people in the database as a whole. Men, 31 million, blah, 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 blah. Women, 5 million, blah, 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 blah. Number of people with loopback or home IP addresses. Men, 12,069. Women, 68,709. My God. Number of people who checked their Ashley Madison messages. Men, 20 million XR, whatever. Women, 1,490. Number of women who use the Ashley Madison chat system, 11 million for the men, 2,000 for the women. This is the most delicious shit. So ultimately, the only plus side to all of this is that chances are, even though a lot of people got caught on that shit, they probably didn't cheat because now this picture is what I'm gonna post up as the screen for this shit. A bunch of men with fishing poles sitting on what looks like a wedding ring. That's fucking gold. Let me save this shit. Hold on. View image. Save. And don't sue whoever the hell Gizmodo. Don't be a bitch. Don't sue. But stolen. Anyway, let's read this longer one. This is from Gizmodo, and this is from Annalee Newlitz. From Gizmodo, Annalee Newlitz. Almost not quote title. Almost none of the women in the Ashley Madison database ever use the site. Oh yeah. Quick note. So then so people, just everybody, including that YouTube guy that's a Christian, and his wife actually knew about it, and then they found his thing, and he got outed, and he came and made a video. Lady, chances are he didn't cheat. I mean, he said he was just curious about it, or whatever was curiosity. That might have just been all it was, because the evidence. I want to saw new evidence. Atheist, evidence, yeah. Pretty much says that chances are, the chance of him cheating were like 0.001%. Oh my god. Anyway, let's get back to it. Almost none of the women in the Ashley Madison database ever used the site. Annalee Newlitz. Start. When the hacker group Impact team released the Ashley Madison data, they asserted that thousands of women's profiles were fake. Later, this number got blown up in the news stories that asserted quote 90 to 95 of them were fake, though nobody put forth any evidence for such an enormous number. So I downloaded the data and analyzed it to find out how many actual women were using Ashley Madison and who they were. What I discovered was that the world of Ashley Madison was far more dystopian place than anyone had realized. Was a far more dystopian place than anyone had realized. This isn't a debauched wonderland. This isn't a debauched wonderland of cheating men on their wives. It isn't even a sadscape. It isn't even a sadscape. Okay, of 31 million men competing to attract those 5.5 million women in the database. Instead, it's like a science fictional future where every woman on Earth is dead and some Dilbert-like engineer has replaced them with badly designed robots. Oh, Annalee's gotta be a girl. Yeah, fuck you, bitch. And I mean that in a good way. No, seriously, a good way. It's not a bad way at all. Fuck you, bitch. Dilbert-like. Oh god, those millions of Ashley Madison men were paying to hook up with women who appeared to have created profiles and then simply disappeared. They were cobbled together by bots. And board admins or just user debris. They were cobbled together by bots and board admins or just user debris. Whatever the answer, or just user debris, actually it's a question mark. Whatever the answer, the more I examined those 5.5 million female profiles, the more obvious it became that, and this is in italics, none of them had ever talked to men on the site or even used the site at all after creating the profile. Actually, scratch that. As I'll explain below, there's a good chance that about 12,000 of the profiles out of millions belonging to actual real women, belonged to actual women. I'll read that again. Actually, scratch that. As I'll explain below, there's a good chance that 12,000 of the profiles out of millions belong to actual real women who were active users on Ashley Madison. So that's 5.5 million men competing for 12,000 women. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's keep going. When you look at the evidence, evidence. When you look at the evidence, it's hard to deny the overwhelming majority of men using Ashley Madison weren't having affairs. They were paying for our fantasies. It's See what I say? They weren't. The mathematics says that they weren't. It's hard to deny that the overwhelming majority of men using Ashley Madison weren't having affairs. They were paying for a fantasy. The evidence mounts. That's the subtitle. Nobody disputes the dramatic gender disparity in Ashley Madison user base, including the company itself. 5.5 million profiles are marked female in a database of roughly 37 million people. It's also a matter of public record that some percentage of the profiles are less than real. A few years ago, a former employee of Ashley Madison sued the company in Canada over her terrible work conditions. She claimed that she'd gotten repetitive stress injuries in her hands after the company hired her to create 1,000 fake profiles of women in 3 months. Written in Portuguese to attract a Brazilian audience. The case was settled out of court, and Ashley Madison claimed that the woman never made any fake profiles. Still, there is a clause in the Ashley Madison Terms of Service that notes that, quote-unquote, some people are using the site purely for, quote-unquote, for entertainment, and that they are, quote-unquote, not seeking in-person meetings with anyone they meet on the service, but consider their communications with users and members to be for their amusement. The site stops short of saying that these are fake profiles, but it does admit that many of their profiles are for amusement only. And you're paying to get amused, motherfucker. You're paying to get amused. So instead of just typing in cats playing fill in the blank on YouTube and getting amused that way, or, I don't know, instant justice, I get amused from that shit. Or something, you're paying money to get amused by shit that ain't real. Alright, well, let's keep going. Based on this evidence, we got some clear indications that many of the profiles are fake. To find out how many, though, we have to dip into the company's non-public information contained in the data dumps. The question is, how do you find fakes in a sea of data? Answering that becomes more difficult when you consider that even real users of Ashley Madison were probably giving fake information at least some of the time. But wholesale fakery still leaves its traces in the profile data. I spoke with a data scientist or analyst. Well, they say scientist. A data scientist who studies populations, who told me to compare the male and female profiles in aggregate and look for anomalous patterns. My analysis had to be entirely based off the profiles themselves, not the credit card data. There's no such thing as a paid account for women because women don't have to pay for anything on Ashley Madison. Awesome. As a result, I couldn't use paid account as a proxy for real. I couldn't use quote-unquote paid account as a proxy for quote-unquote real. The way analysts have done with the male data. Plus, the credit card data does not list gender, so it would have been impossible to be certain of gender ratios in the credit card information anyway. Shit, there's a lot here. Fuck. Credit card information anyway. In the profile data, each Ashley Madison member had a number of data fields, including obvious things like nicknames, gender, birthday, and turn-ons. But the member profile also contains data that's purely for administrative use, like the email address used to create the account and when the person last checked their Ashley Madison inbox. I started my search in an obvious place. Were there any patterns in the personal email address that people listed when they signed up? I figured if I were an admin at Ashley Madison creating fake profiles, I would use ashleymadison.com for the email address because it's easy and obvious. No real Ashley Madison customer would have an Ashley Madison company email. Unless they work for... No. Whatever, I'll skip that. So I searched for any email address that ended in ashleymadison.com. Bingo. There were about 10,000 accounts with ashleymadison.com email addresses. Many of them sounded like they'd been generated by a bot, like the dozens of addresses listed as 100 at ashleymadison.com, 200 at ashleymadison.com, 300 at ashleymadison.com, and so on. A quick comparison of men's and women's email addresses revealed that over 9,000... Oh! You can't make that up! Say it with me now. Say it with me. Over 9,000! Over 9,000. Oh! That felt delicious. That... Got some of that stuck in my teeth. Hold on. That was refreshing. Over 9,000. Love it. Over 9,000 of these ashleymadison.com addresses were used for female profiles, while roughly 1,000 went to men or to profiles where no gender was specified. This pattern was telling but not damning. What it suggests is that the majority of obvious fake accounts, once perhaps created by board admins using their company's email, or maybe real women using fake information, were marked female. These fakes numbered in the thousands, which is exactly what Impact Team suggested. Thanks, Impact Team. Continuing. Next, I looked for patterns in IP address. Now, stop right there. As somebody who deals with cybersecurity, even if on an elementary level, IP address is the first thing you look at. Not even that, but whatever. She's probably not into the computer world as much as I am. Anyway, back. Next, I look for pattern in IP addresses, which can reveal the location of the computers people use to open their accounts. Actually, that's MAC address. Oh, no. IP address is fine. Never mind. Sorry. The most popular IP address among men and women belonged to a company called OnX, which hosted Ashley Madison's backups. That could mean a number of things, including the most popular IP address. Okay. That could mean a number of things, including that those were all accounts created by people working at Ashley Madison. It could also mean that there was a mass migration of data at some point, and everybody's IP address was changed to Ashley Madison's host address. There were no weird gender anomalies in this data, though. About 82% of these OnX IP addresses belong to men, which is close to the percentage of men in the database. Okay. But the second most popular IP address found in 80,805 profiles was a different story. This IP address, which is 127.0.0.1, is well known to anyone who worked with computer systems as a loopback interface. Yeah. To the rest of us, it's known simply as home, your local computer. It's known simply as home, your local computer. Okay, you know what? Never mind. I just finished saying that this lady probably doesn't know as much about computers, but she's on fucking Gizmodo, so I'm kind of figuring that she should know something. But I'm just saying that if I was her, I would have started with the IP addresses first. But never mind. I take back me saying this bitch don't know jack shit, in a sense. Even though I didn't literally say that. But the bitch is on Gizmodo, so yeah. Known simply as home, your local computer. Any account with that IP address was likely created on a home, quote-unquote, home computer at Ashley Madison. Interestingly, 68,709 of the profiles created with that IP address were female, and the remaining 12,000 were either male or had nothing in the gender field. Ah, that's awesome. Oh, Hollywood, you see where you can get material for movies rather than rehashing old shit and just making other shit that's just dumb. Anyway, continuing, that's a huge disparity. In a database of 85% men, you'd expect any IP address to belong to about 85% men. So it's remarkable to discover that about 82% of the accounts created from a home IP address are female. This strengthened the pattern I'd already seen with the AshleyMadison.com email addresses. Obviously, fake accounts were overwhelmingly female and numbered in the tens of thousands. Another weird detail was that the most popular female last name in the database was an extremely unusual one, which matched the name of a woman who worked at the company about 10 years ago. Oh, wow, okay. This unusual name had over 350 entries, as if she or someone else was creating a bunch of test accounts. The most popular male name, on the other hand, was Smith. Oh, of course, Agent Smith was Smith, followed by Jones. Can't get more generic than that. I mean, fuck. This matches typical name distribution in North American population. That said, I also found millions of unique IP addresses and emails among the women, just as there were among the men. Huh? I also found millions of unique IP addresses and emails among the women, just as there were among the men. Let me keep reading, because that doesn't make any sense compared to all of what was just said in this entire video. How am I on time? 27, Jesus. That is exactly what you'd expect from a random batch of 37 million. Found millions, 37 million, okay, people. I also saw data for men and women in the birthday field that looked perfectly normal for a very different reason. Both genders have obviously fake birthdays. 2/3 of men and women claim their birthdays fell in January. This is standard sign of people picking the first month that pops up in the drop-down menu. Yeah, that's true. Obviously, the actual population has birthdays falling fairly evenly during all months. But the online population filling out forms on a sex site, their birthdays tend to clump around the easiest month to pick from a form. And this kind of fakery is actually a sign of humanness. Yeah. Again and again, the female profile showed patterns that suggest disproportionate number of them were fake accounts or test accounts. Still, the numbers were only in the tens of thousands, and a lot of the other data looked relatively normal. The next subtitle, Where the Women Aren't. This is awesome. Then, 3 data fields changed everything. The first field, called male_last_time, contained a timestamp indicating the last time a member checked their messages in their Ashley Madison inbox. If a person never checked their inbox, the field was blank. But if they had checked their messages only once, the field contained a date and time. About 2/3 of men, or 20 million of them, had checked their messages in their accounts at least once, but only 1,492 women had ever checked their messages. It was a serious anomaly. And again, you gotta look on this thing and see the graphs. The graphs just, the bar graphs, Priceless. Continuing. The pattern was reflected in another data field, too. This one called chat last time. Chat underscore last underscore time. Contained a timestamp for the last time a member had struck up a conversation using Ashley Madison's chat system. Roughly 11 million men had engaged in chat, but only 2,400 women had. Who? You know, this. No. I'll save it for the end. I'll remember it, but I'll save it for the end because this right here, this huge disparity that I've been talking about for over 30 minutes now, it leads me to something that feminists always go about saying about how men were able to go around and fuck all women, and yet women were sexually chastised or whatever. I'll get to it at the end though, and this thing reminds me of that. But anyway, let's keep going. Women had yet another field reply male last time showed similar disparity. The field contained the time when members had replied to a message from another person on Ashley Madison. 5.9 million men had done it. 5.9 million men had done it, and only 9,700 women had. Now, it's obviously a bot because unless these men are really replying to other men, which makes no sense because, you know, it's like, okay, men go and find women, whatever. I don't think Ashley Madison panders to the homosexual crowd too much, if at all. There's no way in hell. Let's just say all 2,000. Let's just say all the women on that site, the quote-unquote women on that site. Let's just say that they all replied, as opposed to just the 2,409 who actually did reply. Oh wait, no. Sorry, 9,700 had. Yeah, I'm sorry, but there's no way in hell anybody's gonna. There's no way 9,700 women, or all the women, however much that is on there, is going to be replying to what 5.5 million or billion or whatever the hell it was. Nah, so there had to be a bot responding to all of them. Anyway, 5 million men had done it, and only 9,700 women had. What all these fields have in common is that they measure user activity. They show what happened after the account profile was created and how an actual person used it by checking messages, chatting, and replying to messages. They measure what you might call signatures of real human behavior. Only a paltry number of women's accounts actually looked human. But what about the seemingly odd disparity between the numbers of women checking messages, 1,492, and replying to messages, 9,700? Even that can be explained by looking at how actual humans use Ashley Madison. When you log into your Ashley Madison account, you're prompted to answer messages before you visit your inbox. A dialog box pops up suggesting that you reply to all your messages in bulk. Oh, okay, that explains it. With a canned reply like, I only reply to full messages, or please send me a message and photo. In other words, you can reply to several emails at the same time without ever actually checking or opening your mail. So it's easy to imagine that. I mean, I smell the biggest fucking lawsuit coming from this shit. They thought they outed a million men, or however many million men, but something tells me they're gonna sue. Anyway, checking your mail. So it's easy to imagine that perhaps a few thousand real women had accounts and replied to almost 10,000 messages after being prompted, but only about 1,500 of them ever clicked the button to open their inboxes. Boy. Both the Impact team and disgruntled users of Ashley Madison have called the site fraudulent. Yeah. This is why you don't pay for... Well, I mean, I guess, yeah. I guess if it's anything I've learned from the MRA, Manosphere, MGTOW, whatever, is that you are paying for pussy no matter how you slice it, but you don't pay like this. You pay for shit in hand. You pay for real gold, not a bill that entitles you to gold. Not I owe you some gold. You pay for real gold. Okay, you pay for real pussy up front. You don't. You get what I'm saying here. Okay, you want cash in hand, not some digital pass that entitles you to cash. Okay. Anyway, where was I? Where was I on this? Fraudulent. Mostly because the company charged men to shut down their accounts, and then actually kept their data. I found ample evidence for this kind of fraud in the database. There were 173,838 men's accounts with the email address listed as paid _delete, and 12,108 women's accounts. All other data in those accounts had been retained. It's worth noting that those 12,800 paid delete women's accounts may represent the only true number we've got for women who use the site. After all, paying to delete an account is a sure sign of activity, though of course it's evidence of disengagement rather than the amorous engagement Ashley Madison promised. Overall, the picture is grim indeed. Out of 5.5 million female accounts, roughly 0% had ever shown any kind of activity at all after the day they were created. The men's accounts tell a story of lively engagement with the site, with over 20 million men hopefully looking at their inboxes. Oh God, this is so sad. With over 20 million men hopefully looking at their inboxes and over 10 million of them initiating chats, the women's accounts showed so little activity that they might as well not be there. Sure, some of these inactive accounts were probably created by real-life women, or men pretending to be women, who were curious to see what the site was about. Break. That was my. Well, I'll just come up clean right now, especially since my girlfriend went and for whatever the fuck odd reason decided to go and check my email address and found me in the database. So yes, I did try Ashley Madison, but I tried it up until the fact that I realized I had to pay. I thought it was a free site, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Hey, shit, all the pussy I can handle. Awesome. Then I realized I had to pay for that shit, and I'm like, negative. So that's as far as I got. I got to like I got inside the front door and then immediately walked out because there's no way in fucking hell I'm paying. And then when I heard that I had to pay to fucking delete my shit, luckily for me, I gave them a dummy account. That's just the account that takes all the fucking hits, all the spam, everything. I went in there, changed up. I didn't even use my real name the entire time, but I certainly as hell changed up my name to some bullshit. I don't even remember what I changed it to. So, yeah. Even I am on Ashley Madison, and apparently I am one of the millions, billions, trillions that got outed, quote-unquote outed. But here's the thing, though. I created that Ashley Madison account, or logged into, or signed up for that shit, after POF and before OkCupid, where I found my current girlfriend. So, I was extreme mad super D diddly duper single. So, fuck all that. I'm safe. I'm good. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Sure, some dance inactive. Okay. Sure, some of these inactive accounts were probably created by real women or men pretending to be women, but some probably wanted to find their cheating husband. Others were no, they wanted to cheat too. Don't try to cover for them, bitches, bitch. Others were no doubt curious journalists like me. Okay. But they were still overwhelmingly inactive. They were not created by women wanting to hook up with married men. They were static profiles full of dead data, whose sole purpose was to make men think that millions of women were active on Ashley Madison. Ashley Madison employees did a pretty decent job making their millions of women's accounts look alive. They left the data in these active accounts visible to men, showing nicknames, pictures, sexy comments. But when it came to data that was only visible to the company admins, they got sloppy. The women's personal email address and IP address showed marked signs of fakery. And as for the women's user activities, the fundamental sign of life online, Ashley Madison employees didn't even bother faking that at all. There are definitely other possible explanations for these data discrepancies. It could be that the women's data in these three fields just happened to get hopelessly corrupted, or even though the men's data didn't. Or maybe most of these accounts were deliberately faked, but just represented real women who came on the site once, never to return. Either way, we're left with the data that suggests Ashley Madison's website where tens of millions of men write mail, chat, and spend money for women who aren't there. Credits. These are the credits. Art is by Tara Jacoby. Thanks to Carlos Aguilar and Josh Laurito for tips and help analyzing the Ashley Madison dataset, which tells me that she's just a writer for Gizmodo, but not actually a tech nerd girl. So maybe what I said earlier about her does still apply. And that's it. Thank you all for listening to that, but that's it for the reading. Now that thing that I said, I was gonna say at the end, and I'll remember it. Yes, I did remember it, and here it is, and here is this. Remember how women women, especially feminists, women in general, as feminists specifically, used to keep saying how women in the past were also caged sexually. They were sexually beaten down and whatever, while men were free to fly through the heavens and rain down and whatever. I always had a question about it. That the very first time I heard that, and all times after that, it made no sense to me. And I pretty much disproved that bit of foolishness with one simple saying, or question, which I've yet to hear get answered. And that question is this. If men were free to fuck whichever women they want, and women were not free to fuck whichever men they want, women were in fact caged while women were inside the cage while men were outside the cage free, who were the men fucking? Because last time I checked, especially back in the Middle Ages and stuff, which has hailed as the most oppressive time to women in all forms and fashions and in all metrics and angles, especially sexually and all that, homosexuality was really discouraged back in the Middle Ages. Okay, that was not. So who were these men fucking if women really were as sexually oppressed as women in general and feminists specifically, and the pussy whip men say? Now, the only way that shit could work is if women were oppressed and men were not, but the women still went out and YOLO hoarded out, much like they're doing in today's day and age. In which case, why does it matter? I mean, you're still doing it anyway. And then, of course, I'm like, okay, well, now it's been proven to me ad infinitum that that's bullshit, because looking at a little bit of, doing the most superficial bit of research on that, I come to find out that men back in those same times that were supposedly so free, they actually weren't free. If you weren't able to resist women until marriage, i.e. stay a virgin until marriage, let's see, now you were seen as weak, not a real man, not right with God, and a whole bunch of other shit. Perhaps maybe the men just didn't care, and it's like, alright, fine, I'm a weak man, but I'm getting all this bomb-ass pussy with my weak self. Maybe, I don't know. But men were also demonized back then. Anybody who doesn't believe me can feel free to go and look it up. That's just a slight thing I saw when I was looking at these graphs that came into my head. But yeah, so it would appear that despite all of this, it turns out that the men more than likely didn't do shit. At least not on this site. And then, of course, you got to ask yourself, well, if the men are cheating, what are the women doing? Especially considering, like I said before earlier, women don't need to do this kind of shit to get dudes. They can just walk outside. The vast majority of them snap their fingers, and dudes, married or not, will come by. And all the women have to do is just say, look, if you want to make this friends with benefits or this pussy on demand a recurring thing, shut the fuck up. My husband need be none the wiser. And yeah. And if anybody knows my history, I have been the other guy 3 times in a row. I mean, I think I've told this story a number of times in my other videos. I was the other guy, and I actually didn't even have to be told to shut the fuck up. I'm just like, look, whatever, man. You're gonna fuck somebody else, so I might as well. But I have been the other guy that she's fucking behind her husband's back. I have been that guy 3 times. So let's just say I know women and know women cheating. Anyway, yeah. What say you, YouTube public? What say you about this Ashley Madison business? This is how it is in all online dating. Oh, one last thing. For all you women that like to say that women want sex just as much as men, no, you don't. Because if you did, there would be roughly equal number of women on online dating sites, all of them, free or not, as there are men. And be it OkCupid, POF, Ashley Madison, and then like Farmers Only. I keep seeing that sad commercial. And all this other shit, they're not. Okay? They're not. Sorry, ladies, you all do not want sex as much as we do. As much as you want it, we want it more. And simple logic of life, much less the numbers, much less, proves that ad infinitum. So, yeah. Anyway, Ashley Madison, it was an interesting idea. I guess the market wanted it, or at least half the market. But, yeah. Yeah. Women don't need this site, or really any kind of site. Every single woman, especially single, much less married, yes, married too, has at least 5 guys in their phones at any one time that they can call up, and all she has to do is just say, hey, yo, meet at X place and bring a condom. Done. So, yeah. I could have told this was going to happen. And then paying. The moment you start introducing paying, that's when I know full well that ain't no woman gonna be out there. Okay, no woman is. Okay, no. Let me keep that. Let me take that back, because no woman in America and in, I guess, Europe, and certain in the Western world, is gonna pay. However, there is a place where women do pay for sex. Jamaica seems to be one. My own country, Jamaica. I saw some sort of documentary, little mini documentary on that, about how women go to Jamaica, pay the guys to sleep with them, and make them feel like they're still the hot young 16-year-old girl with a nice body that they obviously are not. Okay? And apparently male prostitutes in Africa, somewhere in like northern to central Africa somewhere, maybe even roughly eastern, something like that. Somewhere in Africa, there is European, like white European women go to this place and pay men to sleep with them. I have heard of that. I heard it from one of my ex-girlfriends that she went and did some trip over there and whatever. I think she might have gone a number of times, whatever. But, yeah. So, yes, women actually do pay for sex from men. It just doesn't happen in America or probably Europe. So, yeah. And the women in America and Europe that are doing that, they're not doing that in America. They're going to all across. So, yeah, just guys, guys have Brazil and Thailand, or just, I guess, yeah, Brazil, Thailand, and just Asian countries in general. or Southeast Asian countries in general, whatever. Women have Jamaica and Africa. So yeah, that's it. Was not expecting this thing to be an hour, but hopefully you stayed with me until the end. And again, Link, you can't make this shit up. I hope somebody makes a movie out of this. I'm headed to the gym. This shit is funny. Later.